Alright, welcome back. And last episode, what we did is we got our character inside the game. We downloaded some animations. I got my character Scarlet right here in the game. This episode, what we need to do is we need to apply those animations to Scarlet. So, without wasting any time, because this will take a second, what we're going to do is right-click in our characters folder and in my Scarlet folder, which will be whatever you named your character. Right click in that folder, and then we're going to make another folder called anims or animations. Open up that folder, and this is where you're going to drag in all of the animations for your character. So again, my character was named Scarlet, and I dragged in her regular pose, the one with the skin, to bring her in. Now I'm about to bring in everything that doesn't have the skin. And those are her animations. So I'm gonna bring all mine in like this, except Scarlet. I don't want to bring in the same thing that I already brought in. That's like one thing that I don't want to do. So the one that I already brought in was this one, and let's bring in everything else. Now when it gets to this screen, it's gonna ask you which skeleton do you want to bring this stuff in for. So make sure that you select the character that you just uploaded. And for me, it's Scarlet. That's the skeleton I want to bring it in for. And then import all. And what this is going to do is going to give her her animations. And even though we didn't download skin for those animations, since we just told it to go to Scarlet's skeleton, watch this. It's going to have all of her doing all of her animations. Cool. So now you have an animations folder. But we're not finished here. So go back into your character folder, into your character. So Scarlet for me, and we're gonna right click, and this time instead of a new folder, we're gonna come up here to animation, right? And we're gonna click on blend space. This is the first thing that we need to make. We need to make one for Scarlet. Now what a blend space is it helps the character blend between animations. So we got a walking one and we got a running one, and we want it to blend between walking and running depending on how fast she's going. So that's why we're making a blend space. I'm gonna call mine Scarlet _ BS for blend space. Open up your blend space, and here on the left hand side you're gonna see skeleton tree and asset details. What we want is asset details. At the bottom, you're going to see this little thing that you can drag up. What you want to do is drag this up so you can see this little grid down here. Alright, cool. Let's get started on filling out some of these details. On the left-hand side in the horizontal axis, what you want to write is direction for the name. I've got my caps lock on, sorry. Okay. And then for the minimum, you want to put -180. And for the maximum, you want to put 180. Cool. Now you can close that down, or you can press snap to grid. I like snapping mine to a grid. For the vertical now, we want to call this one speed. And for the minimum, we can have it as 0. But for the maximum, we need to figure out what's the character's speed. And the way you do that is in your content browser, go up some folders to your third-person character blueprint, and we're going to get the character movement component here, and down the right hand side it's going to say max walk speed. We see hers is at 500. So cool, we can say the maximum value is at 500. I'm going to say 600 because I like even numbers. And watch, I'll show you why 600 for me is going to be good. And I'm going to actually move her speed up to 600 and make sure she can go a little bit faster. 600. Save. Alright, back in your blend space. Now that we've got the vertical and the horizontal set, make sure you snap that to grid. Close that down. Now we're going to tell her what to do at each one of those points. So on the bottom row here, we need to drag out our idle animation, and you'll notice that all your animations for her should be right here on the right hand side. So you could just drag it off of here. So for me, on the bottom row, I'm going to just drag out idle all the way across. So on the bottom, idle, there, idle. So there should be 5 of them, I think. Yeah. All right, so the next row, what we're going to do, right in the middle, we're going to put walk. So get your walking animation, walking forwards, and we're going to put that right in the middle. Now on each side of this row, we're going to put the walking backwards here. Backwards and backwards. Now right here on these, the middle part of these row, we need to put our strafe right and strafe left. And I know it might not be right, but just go by your right and your left. So we want our right one to be right here. So I'm going to look for my walk right. So this is my strafe right. And this is my walk left. Let's see, left walk. Perfect. Now for the top row, what we want to do is we want to put the running one up there. So find your run animation. Shoot, I can't find mine. There we go, fast run. All right, and then for the corners up here, we want to put the backwards run. So get your running backwards and drop those in the corners up here. And now for these middle points in the top row, we need the right strafe, which is her running right, and then her running left. And if you hover over here, you can just see a preview of the animation to make sure you're putting in the right one. Now that we've got that set up, she can move in all those directions depending on her code. We need to press save. We're not finished yet, but we're almost there. Next thing we need to do, let's go back into our characters folder, back into Scarlett's folder, and we've got a blend space. We need an animation blueprint in order for her to move. So right click, go down to blueprints, or sorry, go to animation, and you're going to see animation blueprint. Boom. Choose the skeleton that you need, which is Scarlett. And this time we're going to call it Scarlett underscore anim BP. And that lets me know it's the animation blueprint. Open that up, and you're going to see this. Now, from output result or output pose, drag off and type in state machine. And at the bottom, you'll see add new state machine. And that's what we want. Double click on your state machine, and you'll get to a screen like this. Now, from entry, this is what I do. Now, you may find other practices, better ways to set up a state machine, but this way works for me every time. So I drag off the entry, and I add a new state. I call this one idle. Alright, I double click on my idle state. Then I want to find that idle animation that we have, and I'll just put it in there. Drag it, drop it, and connect it. Alright, you're done with that part. Go back to your state machine right here. And now we need to make sure that she can walk and jump. So drag off of idle and add a new state. This time we'll call this state walk/run. Okay, you notice this little thing came up. Don't worry about that right now. Let's double click on our walk/run, and we need to add in our blend space here, what we just created. So go back to your characters folder, Scarlett, and I'm going to add in my Scarlett BS, the blend space. Click and drag it, drop it, and connect it. We're not done here because we have to take each one of these and promote them to a variable. So for the direction, right click and click promote to variable. And you'll see that pop up, and it popped up down here. Do the same thing for your speed. And there you go. Now we're set. Perfect. Come back up here to your state machine. So click on new state machine. Now you want her to be able to go from idle to her walking and running. So we need to fill out this bubble. So double click on that bubble, and it's saying she can go from idle to walking and running when something is happening. We need to drag off our speed, get speed, and I'm going to say greater than or equal to 1. I mean, like, I want her to start moving at 1. Some people do it at 8, I mean 0.8, all kinds of different things. I'm going to do it at the speed 1. I've seen somebody do theirs at 10, you know what I'm saying? But 1 works for me, and if it doesn't work for you, you could change it here. But in your new state machine, so whenever her speed goes past 1, she's going to be able to enter in the walking and running. And I want her to go back to idle as well. So let's drag that off. Double click on the bubble that it just made. Drag your speed off. Get speed. And say when speed is less than, not or equal, just less than 1. And that way she knows when to move. Hook that up there and compile and save. Go back to your state machine because we're still not done. We need to add one more state here. So drag off of walking and running and drag up to jump. So add a state called jump. Now, it created a bubble, but we don't have anything to put there. Make sure the jump can go back into the walking and running. And we don't need to connect it to idle because walking and running is already, it has an idle state in it. So no worries there. But for our jump, we do need to double click on it and make sure you drag your jump animation in there. And this is my jump animation. Drag it and connect it. Compile, save. You're going to notice there's an error. It's because we have to fill out these bubbles. But before we do that, come down to your left hand side, create a new variable called isFalling. And we can leave it as a boolean. Compile, save. Alright, so we want them to be able to go into the jump state when isFalling is true. So get your isFalling variable and connect it up just like that. Compile, save. Go back to your state machine. We handled this one. Now we need to handle this bubble. So from jumping back to walking and running, that means isFalling is not true. So get isFalling, and then you can drag off of it and just say not boolean. And we'll just connect that up. Compile, save. Alright. The state machine is set up pretty thoroughly. And the last thing we need to do in here is go to the event graph. So you'll notice the state machine and event graph. Let's click on event graph. This screen will pop up. Alright, follow me on this screen and I'll show you what to do and I'll show you why. So drag off this pen and say third person character, cast to your third person character, and connect the object here. Now, what you want to do is drag off of here, or you can drag off of here. It doesn't matter. I always drag off of the character, but I think it's the best practice to drag off of here. So let's do it the right way. Get velocity. Then you want to drag off of here again, and you want to say get actor rotation. Perfect. Now you got both of these. Off of your velocity, you want to say vector length. So just type in vector length. And you click on the first one, and we're good there. Now, right click in a blank space and type in calculate direction. Right here. Perfect. And then we have everything we need. So take your actor rotation, plug it into base rotation. Take your velocity and plug it into velocity. Now what we need to do is get our direction down here in our variables and drag it off. And we need to say set direction. Set direction right here. Third person character, we're calculating all of their stuff and we're setting the direction. So set the direction. Now we need to set the speed. So drag your speed off and say set speed. In order for us to set the speed, we need to drag the vector length right here, right up in here. And then lastly, what we can do is set isFalling. So grab your is falling and set that as well. Wait, sorry. Alright, set your is falling as well. I don't know what happens on my screen. Sometimes this junk be messing up. There, it's gone. Dude. Alright, so my is falling is set as well. But we need to set our is falling to our character is falling. So drag off your character and get character movement. Get character movement. Once you do that, you'll see this pop up. Then what you want to do is drag off your character movement and say is falling. And you'll see a function pop up. That's the one you want. And all you got to do now is connect your is falling into that function, and Scarlet now will be able to move around your level. Compile and save. Everything is set up here. You'll notice that this is pumping orange juice in there. We're good. Go back to your BP third person character and go back to the viewport. Click on the mesh over here, and we see that we got Scarlet in here. Now right above here it says animation, animation mode, use animation blueprint, and underneath that we need to tell it which blueprint to use. And I'm going to use my Scarlet animation blueprint right here that we just created. You'll notice now she's in her pose, and when we press play, she'll be walking around the level. See? Scarlet's walking around our level. Sick. Alright, so yeah, that's Scarlet moving. I guess in the next episode what we can do is I know exactly what we'll do. We'll do some cool things with Scarlet. I mean, maybe you have a character that has a dress on like her, or maybe a cape or something. I'm going to show you how to make like parts of her clothes move and all kinds of different things. After that, we'll get into some more complicated stuff. But thanks for joining me in this one, and that's pretty much it. I'll holla at y'all in the next one. Peace.